Are you just starting out your journey as a business analyst? Or maybe you've been in the role for a few months and feel like things aren't going smoothly? You are not alone. Many new business analysts make the same critical mistakes. Mistakes that can cost time, create confusion, and even derail projects. In this video, I'll show you the most common mistakes new business analysts make, and most importantly, how to avoid them so you can become confident and effective business analyst starting tomorrow. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalia. I have over 15 years of experience in business analysis, and in this space I share my knowledge and expertise to help you grow in your BA journey. Business analysis can be incredibly rewarding career, but if you don't know the pitfalls, even small mistakes can create big problems. Today, we'll break down the top mistakes I've seen business analysts make with real examples and tips how to succeed. Let's dive in. One of the first mistakes I've seen business analysts make is not defining the scope earlier. Scope is basically the boundaries of the project. It defines what's in and what's out. Maintaining focus on the scope, ensuring it's clearly identified and agreed upon, is essential for project success. Let me share a story that I witnessed several years ago. I worked at a company that was implementing a new vendor system solution, which is a very common project. A new business analyst joined the project and started gathering requirements from the stakeholders. But instead of prioritizing and evaluating the requirements, he just started including all of it in the requirements document. He did not clearly define what was in scope and what was out of scope, and simply keep adding the functionalities. As a result, project ballooned very quickly. The timeline slipped, the frustration across teams grew, and senior management and executives were increasingly concerned and questioning why the requirements take so long and why the timelines are shifting, and finally why the product looks so different from what was agreed upon with the vendor. Ultimately, the root cause was the lack of proper scope definition. The business analyst completely overlooked this critical step. Let's discuss how you can avoid this mistake. For that, you would need to take 3 critical steps. You have to ask question, what problem are we solving? The best person usually on the project to ask this question is a project sponsor. This is the main person who is behind this change. Define in-scope and out-of-scope items earlier. This is one of the first steps in business analysis process. Document these boundaries and get stakeholders' approvals. If you identify, document it, and get everyone's approval, then and only then you can move on to requirements elicitation. Do not mix these 2 steps together. Don't try to define scope while you eliciting requirements. First scope, then requirements. Remember, a clearly defined scope saves time, prevents confusion, and helps you focus on delivering the right solution. Sometimes new business analysts focus too much on the systems and processes and forget important part of the project, people. Engaging stakeholders early in the project is essential for project success. If a business analyst is going to wait until development phase to get feedback, then the final product is not going to meet the business need, causing rework. Let's talk about how to avoid this mistake. Remember to identify all key stakeholders earlier. Schedule regular check-ins, workshops, or demos. Even if it's just a placeholder, just put it in a people's calendar. You can always adjust the meeting schedule throughout the project. And the most important tip, how to avoid this mistake. Make stakeholders co-owners of the solution. In a project, you are a team, and all team players are important. Engagement is proactive, not reactive. Don't wait for stakeholders to come to you. Relying on assumptions instead of facts. Another common and major mistake is making assumptions instead of verifying the information. I have witnessed how a business analyst in one of the projects assumed that a reporting process works the same in all departments. They did not confirm the process, they just worked off the assumption. Of course, later business analysts found out that each department does it differently. This mistake caused project delays and rework. So, how can you avoid this mistake? Don't work based on the assumptions. Validate the information, ask questions. Use interviews, workshops, and process walkthroughs. Validate every piece of information before documenting it in requirements. Of course, you might have the assumptions at the beginning of the project, but treat them as a temporary hypothesis and always validate them and confirm with your stakeholders. Even if you're technically great, weak communication can create problems. I'm probably going to be repeating this in every video, but business analyst is a bridge between business and IT, a translator if you wish. So communication is the key. As a business analyst, you're working with so many professionals from different departments, with finance, operations, users, developers, testers, and so on. And all of these professionals, they use their own language, their own terms. So, for example, if a business analyst is going to document requirements which are full of business jargon, then developers might misinterpret the requirements and simply the final product might not meet the expectations. How to avoid this? Tailor your language to your audience. Use visuals, diagrams, or scenarios to explain complex ideas. When everyone is looking at the same image or scenario, they share a common understanding, speak a common language, or can contribute more effectively to the same concept. Regularly summarize meetings and confirm understanding with stakeholders. Remember, clear communication prevents confusion, builds trust, and makes you look professional. Let's talk about documentation. Documentation is an important part of business analyst responsibilities, but we need to make it clear here that documentation is more than just writing down requirements. As a business analyst, you need to understand the purpose and importance of documentation. BA documentation creates and serves as a central reference for the whole project. So poor documentation can lead to misalignment, misrequirements, scope creep, and ultimately to project failures. Throughout my career, I've seen business analysts taking notes in informal document and not sharing the requirements with stakeholders until later in the project. And as a result, stakeholders would claim that their requirements were never considered or not captured correctly. Let's talk about how to avoid this mistake. Use structured and formal templates like BRDs, user stories, or process maps based on the established work frames and templates in your organization. Keep all documentation organized in a central repository, so the stakeholders can access it and review the most recent version, not the version that you've sent 2 or 3 weeks ago. And of course, update documents regularly and share them with the stakeholders for review. Think of documentation as your project memory. It needs to be clear, accessible, and up to date. So now, let's recap the most common mistakes in business analysis. First thing first, identify what's in scope and what's out of scope. Once the scope is identified, engage stakeholders and keep them engaged throughout the project. Work closely with stakeholders to validate every piece of information to avoid relying on assumptions. When working with your stakeholders, tailor your message to your stakeholders and use visuals. That will make your communication stronger. And finally, keep documentation up to date and share it frequently with the project stakeholders. Remember, mistakes happen when you're starting out, but learning from them earlier sets you up for success. The fact that you're watching this video already makes your skills stronger because now you're aware of these pitfalls. Avoiding these mistakes will make your work as a BA much smoother and more impactful. Applying the skills and techniques will help you not just succeed, but truly shine in your projects. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content on how to become successful business analyst, and leave me a comment below with your biggest BA challenge. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.